So last week when I did my stream relatively early, it was because I had to go to this job fair, which turned out to be a complete waste of time because all those people did was hand me a piece of paper and send me on my way. This time I'm doing it early because I went to sleep early. I don't want to, I guess I could say by accident. You know where you like lay down and then you just start dozing off. And then I was like, oh, maybe I slept for an hour, and then I look at my phone. It's been like 5 hours. Um, So yeah, that's the reason why I'm doing it early this time because I have to. I just figured, why not? Let's get out the way. Um, Today I'm planning on going to see Superhero. I'm trying to see it with um my brother, but there's some kind of like weird scheduling thing that might happen. So I'm not too. I'm like cautiously optimistic. Um, I'll never understand how you can release a movie in one country and then have people in another one wait 2 months and expect them to not be spoiled or have things leaked to them. So I said, these companies, they don't make any sense at all. They just do things. Hey, Dio, I hope you hit the like button because everybody acts like they're allergic to that. I can only pray that you will click that wonderful button and and boost me in the algorithm by just 2%. What a dream it would be to receive that. Yeah, I was what was I gonna say? It's a really sad thing just how like a lot of basic stuff in real life people will do, and you'll just sit there and scratch your head and just you can't understand it because of how bizarre it may come off to you. Like I'll never understand how a person who has a bedroom with a decent mattress, TV, a computer, why somebody would pick to sleep in the den where people are walking to go to the kitchen or get something to eat, where they could be disturbed. I'll never get how any reasonable, rational, sensible human being thinks that makes sense to say, I'm going to forsake sleeping in my room with all of these different things that are in the den, if not even more so, to go sleep in a place where people have to walk by me or walk around me to get something to eat or something from the kitchen. I'll just I'll never understand the logic of that. And again, it goes back to that never-ending fantasy I've had of living by myself. It would be. I mean, like some people dream of, like becoming famous and doing something of some great noteworthiness. And I'm not even joking. At this point, I have more fantasies about just waking up without, having to hear this all day, thanks to this never-ending stay-at-home order. Um, than like doing anything of some great noteworthiness. I have more fantasies about being by myself, you know, than anything that could even be considered remotely notable. That's just how sick of this whole thing I am at this point. I mean, like you sometimes you wonder if these people have this some kind of illness you don't know about where it's like they lack basic reasoning skills. Like if I'm forced to work at my house, right? I'm gonna do people the simple courtesy, again, assuming that I'm not a prick, of shutting my door so that if I have to take calls or speak to someone, I can lower the volume of my rhetoric as much as possible as to not wake people up, not disturb them. This one just doesn't care, and it's been this way now for 2 years, and I'm so sick of it. Every Monday through Friday, I hear the same stupid line from 8 or 9 in the morning until 5 in the afternoon. And you deal with the same hypocrisy of having to tiptoe around the house to make sure you don't wake this person, but then they can speak as loudly as possible with no care or concern for if they wake you. I think we call that double standards around here. Yeah, it's been a pretty eventful week. I had a second creepy guy off of Discord discover my secret identity. I feel like a superhero. Rules for thee, but not for me. Absolutely. And what's funny is that you have these different people who like criticize me as doing something weird, but it's like they never think that maybe the way someone acts or the way someone processes things is a direct result of their environment. So maybe a person would not tiptoe around their own kitchen if they didn't have an individual sleeping in the den for no reason right next to that room and like not wanting to wake them, to like have to deal with another headache. They just never consider that some stuff that a person can go about doing is a direct result of what's around them versus what they actually want to do. Because I certainly would just rather walk in there, get my thing, get out. But when you have an individual who wants to sleep there for no reason, but for whatever reason, you know, you end up, if you're trying to be courteous to some extent, having to tiptoe around. I had this one book. I don't know where I put it. I got it about, I think, 2 months ago. It might be over there. I'm gonna have to go look. It's so interesting how a lot of these computer people, like you can talk to them sometimes for years, and it will never occur to you how similar someone is to another person until they do the exact same thing. As like it, like just this one act will start giving you flashbacks to how the other one acted. Because I never drew a comparison between the Discord snake and the lying leech up until this week. The idea that you have these two guys, which by the way, I found out apparently the lying leech does have the same disorder. Because someone else who talks more to him told me that after they saw the video. But I gotta say, I really wasn't expecting that. And it goes back to this thing where if I had gotten my way of like not joining this server, because I mentioned before, I'm really sick of Discord, and I feel like just like I think I mentioned before, I really don't like group calls because a lot of times you'll have someone who you feel, I guess, more trusting of than others, and there might be something you want to tell them that you wouldn't feel comfortable telling two people, three people, four people. So I wish I had gotten my way because if I did, that guy would have never heard me talking about making that video, and then he wouldn't have been, I guess, motivated to look. Because I mentioned before that like I don't do anything to them. They just like speak to me again and decide to do something that I guess they theoretically always could have. But like it's always set off by some kind of trigger, where they just go on YouTube and act weird. And remember, this is the same guy who, as he's like, I found your account, but it's public. Like, well, you're the same person who who was freaking out and losing their marbles when somebody went on his Facebook page and found out his real name. I think they found it out from somebody else, but they found out his real name. They took all his different pictures and stuck them in videos. And again, it's like when it's done to him, hey, we're gonna go back to rules for thee, but not for me. When it's done to him, It's bad. It's an invasion of privacy. This is a separate part of his life that he doesn't want people to know about, and we should respect that. But when he does it to somebody else, or like threatens to do it to somebody else, it's public. It's really not a hard like thing to understand what I'm saying here. I feel like if someone doesn't pick up on it, they're purposely trying to not get what I'm conveying, which is the hypocrisy. Um, I don't understand how, if I'm on a website where literally everyone hides their face or has some name that's not their actual name as their username, I should have to have a different one. Out of all the people I've ever seen on Discord, the only one that uses their real name that's in any of like the different servers I've been to is from another country. So he's not even worried about anyone from America coming to, do anything to him. Oh my God. These people are just so insane. Like, we really do live in this era where people love to drag their nose into stuff that has nothing to do with them. Like I still can't believe the thing that caused me to come in conflict with him was like pondering making a video about someone who's not him, someone who doesn't talk to him, someone who doesn't hang out with him. And that's enough for him to go and do his creepy thing and be like, I wonder if I played this, would he react a certain way? Yeah, I'm not even I'm so done with people on these websites. It's crazy how the person that the video was about didn't have a problem with the video from like 5 or 6 years ago, but then some weird guy who's like barely friends with him anyway is like offended by it, or is like trying to use it. I don't know what the point of playing that was even supposed to be. So I said it's like he can't even make a threat correctly. These people just they live and die by hypocrisy. They say things and then do something else, and it's the complete opposite of what they told you before. The edited video I might make this week is like a hypothetical of what I if I was married, and it was going to be this. Um, because we always play it out by different scenarios. So it starts off with, what if this went all the way? If I stayed married to this woman, then you get another scenarios if you get divorced. Um, I found some statistic that well, I was listening to a video. I'm going to look it up later, but it says something about 80% of divorces are initiated by the woman. I'm gonna look that up. I'm not sure if that's accurate or not. I haven't done my research, but if that is true, while that doesn't change the belief I have that I would prefer to have kids in a marriage, I'd be more like up for saying, "Hey, you signed a prenuptial agreement." Well, see, this goes back to the fundamental flaw of romantic relationships because I've told you repeatedly that I think too much of this stuff is directed or biased in favor of women. So if I'm a male, how am I incentivized to put up with them if I know that if you date one of them and she cheats on you, you're going to get blamed for her cheating? If you marry one of them, the one who's more likely to divorce and thus cut your assets in half is her. I mean, I don't I've explained this before. I don't find speaking to or trying to cultivate a romance with any of them to be appealing anymore because I know at every turn they have a million and one advantages over me, both in terms of the way people act toward them and the things they can get out of me. So I question what is the purpose of even bothering with with them. I really don't get it. Dio says women act like you should be happy that they leech off of you. Well, remember what I told you before that if I ever became like bigger on you, which I'm not saying I ever will be, but just as an example, if I ever like had some noticeable jump in terms of viewership or anything like that, and I all of a sudden had chicks trying to talk to me, I still would not like want to speak to them because then I would know even more assuredly that the only reason they're talking to me is because of some perceived fame I have or something they think they can get out of me. That's why we call them Johnny Come Latelys. Because my best friend, for example, he was my best friend when I had 0 subscribers. So I know who was there and who wasn't. You don't think that's sad that like you have actual people because you know that most people aren't famous, right? You have actual people on the internet who will tell you about increasing your status, right? That like doing things to make yourself more notable or like a pillar of your and it's so stupid because there are if you're talking about like status on the internet, there are plenty of people who have 100,000 subs that you've probably never heard of. And they're more inclined to be known than somebody with 6,000 followers on IG. By the way, I actually have one relative who has like thousands of followers on Instagram. Um, and I was like, isn't it sad that I do a channel where everything I say and everything I do is dictated by what I think and believe? And we actually try to come to conclusions you might not hear somewhere else. If we do an edited video, we take the time to edit it and write a script and cut out all the stuttering, whatever. But I'll get less support for making that type of stuff than some woman who takes these like weird explicit photos. Or you don't think that's pathetic? That just like that says something about the types of things that are sought after on the internet. Well, all I'm getting at is to sit here and tell somebody that they need to become famous to get a date is absurd because most people are not famous. And even the ones who have actual fame, still, it's like it's dubious. So for example, there was a guy I spoke to about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and he was talking about Chris Rock getting slapped by Will Smith. And he said Chris somebody because he forgot his name. Chris Rock is like one of the most prominent comedians, in all of the US. He had a show based on his early life. You know what I'm saying? That like that's a person who, even with the accolades that he has, like the objective accolades that he has to his name that most people online don't even have, even the ones with a bunch of subs on YouTube, even someone like that, people don't know. So I'm just explaining to you that fame really is relative. There's a lot of people who have either done something very culturally significant that you've never heard of, and there's a lot of people who you have heard of that haven't done anything. So you know what I mean? Like it's just a stupid way of like raising the goalpost is what I'm getting with you. And there are people with millions of subs nobody heard of because I mean if you're not in the field that that person is from, you're probably not going to know who they are. Like, for example, when Cenk ran for Congress, I had to explain who he was to one of my I think it was one of my acquaintances, like, because they don't follow politics, they don't know any of the commentators. Well, Dio, we had a whole discussion about this where, like, I was talking about, A. Philip Randolph, like, that was one of the earliest, Black labor leaders. He had his own organization, the, city I think it was the Pointiers. Um, he was called by the US Attorney General in 1918 the most dangerous Negro in all of the US, and it's like, here we are a little bit over 100 years from then, and he gets completely almost undiscussed. So, like I said, there are a whole bunch of people. It could be a historical figure, it could be a current person that have done something important or significant or good, and because it doesn't have enough views or not enough people talk about it, you still probably won't know who they are. I remember we were talking about Abernathy, I think a few streams ago, and how he was like Martin Luther King's number two guy, and he took over the Southern Christian Leadership Conference after his untimely passing. And it's like he was around for what was it, 22 years after King's passing, and you almost hear nothing about him. Like that was his literal, like that was basically his vice president, his right hand man, and just completely overshadowed and forgotten. It's so sad. I mean, that was another reinforcement that people just don't do research, which is I guess, the number one problem. But it's so interesting to me how, like, even with people that are remembered, they're still it's like very selective, you know? No, I'm simply explaining that he had what was probably a 30, 40-year career with civil rights issues. Um, and you wouldn't like hear or see anything regarding like people actually discussing his positive involvement with the movement. Um, that was the point I was making, that even with someone like that who did a bunch of stuff, because he doesn't have like a holiday or people don't discuss him that much, he just gets completely forgotten. Because don't whatever people want to say, we are influenced to believe someone's significant based off of the way others talk about them. I mean, Dio, I know you were trashing Ted Kennedy, but in all seriousness, he was probably one of the most important senators ever. One, because of his name recognition that he had when he first became a senator, because his brother was the incumbent president, and for his actual legislative record with over 300 bills passed. You think I'm kidding? When I was in fifth grade when he died, everybody knew who that was. People don't even like follow politics at all. We're like, what? He's probably, it's like him, and then maybe Sanders. They're like the only two senators that have served since I've been alive. They'll probably that like in 100 years people will probably still talk about. He's one of the few that I've seen that had like multiple books written on him while he was alive. Like that's something else I thought was really funny, that we were having this discussion about how like most people don't never have a movie made about him, and I was explaining that it's even worse when you consider that most people also never have a book written about them, even though books are way cheaper to make than a film, where you have to get a cast and a script and budget, etc. It's like, no, a book can literally be written by a publisher, giving a biographer an author in advance, and then he just goes and interviews people who knew the person, and then there's that. You see where it gets even more pathetic, that even with things that don't cost that much, we still can't be bothered to do it. So it's like I remember when what's a good example I could use? I'm trying to think of something. Um, I had someone who was like, "Oh, why does it bother you that most people don't have books?" I said, "Well, because it's." I just wanted to explain this. Like, I could literally have a million subscribers, which is a feat that most people on YouTube never accomplish, and I still probably would not have a book written on me. I might have some interviews by some different channels, and maybe I'll get invited to some award show, but like to have someone sit there and for like a year, 2 years, just like gather up all this information about me. Hey, how did this person do this? You would never see anyone this. It is insane because even something that is infinitely less expensive, right? Just doing research and putting all the information about somebody in one place, we can't be bothered to do. I'll tell you the problem is a lot of American biographers are kind of redundant. They make books on the same like 5 or 6 people. You think I'm playing, man? Like, if you were to actually sit here and just go down the list of like how many singers, like contemporary singers, have one novel written about them, it will blow your mind how few it is. It's it's crazy. I remember when Megumi was on one of my streams and he said that X-Men were forgotten. I said, well, uh, the problem I've always had with statements like that is significance and remembrance is kind of it's a really like what's the way of saying it? There's no basis to like objectively analyze it because we have nothing to really go off that can say, hey, this is more notable than this or that. The bands of different books are like Kiss, where there's a lot of turmoil. Oh yeah, people love drama. I mean, hey, why do you think a senator who had over 300 bills passed, when he finally gets a movie made about him, it's on this stupid scandal? That's just what they do. They take one thing, blow it up, and you if you are remembered, you're completely everything else is overshadowed by that one thing. Oh, I'm not even joking. Like there are so many people who did significant things that are completely like forgotten and overshadowed. And um again, the issue is that this stuff isn't inaccessible. Like you could, if I know about it, anyone else could because it's all public information. But people just are very lazy. They don't want to read. They don't do any research. I mean, like they're just they have no desire to better themselves in any capacity. And that's why I told you a lot of people have this belief system, and I really hate it where if something doesn't directly affect me or it's not like an ongoing thing that bothers me, it doesn't matter. Um, a lot of people live a day-to-day existence where, they go to some job, they go to school. And even the ones that are in school, they're not any smarter than you or I. Because I think I told you that there are plenty of Crowder videos where they go around and they ask people about the Constitution from like, Harvard or some other Ivy League, and they're completely bewildered. They're saying things where they're trying to appear as if they know what any of this is about, but they're totally confused. So even the people who are supposed to be educated are still ignorant. And you know why that is, right? Because unless they're getting a degree in history, which even then a lot of these history classes like to, skim down and trim stuff, to its bare minimum. Uh they still can't be counted on to know any more about what's come before or significant events than someone who has no education. Because again, it's all if things don't affect people, they don't care. Why do you think you have all of these people who get off have a whole day of work off, school off, whatever on Martin Luther King Day, but not a single one of them can be tempted to read a book on him, do any research on him. If you ask them anything about him, they usually tell you, "I have a dream in his assassination." It's completely pathetic. But that's why I said you live in an era of laziness where unless it's a current event or something that like I'll give you an example. There was a senator from Georgia, US Senator Richard Russell, and he was a very significant senator. The Russell Senate building is named after him. He ran for president. He was a mentor of LBJ. They disagreed on civil rights. And I looked at he was actually when he died the longest the currently longest serving senator at 38 years. But I looked up books on him and there was one that was written like 20 years ago and it cost like $40 and I was like it's way too expensive. Then there was another one by a lady. I think her name was like it's like Sally Russell, but I noticed that she had the same last name as him and I was like, "Oh, well this can't be his daughter because he didn't have any kids." And she was his like great niece, like she was the daughter of or like the of his like brother's kid or something like that. But anyways, um that's my point that one of the few people who tried to make the case for this man's historical like objective historical significance had to be somebody related to him, which is why I made the point that if you are unless these people are directly impacted by things or have some kind of explicit connection to somebody from the past, they don't really care to look into it. I mean, we just live in an era of laziness, and as long as something doesn't affect somebody, they don't care. Um, and I don't know, I just think it's so sad that like because this is not new, right? We've discussed before that people can't be bothered to read a news article. News articles sometimes can only take 4, 5, 6 minutes to read from start to finish. It's not like some 900-page book, but even with a little tiny slab of text, like a news article, people can't read the whole thing, or they'll just read the headline. I just think it's so sad. Like this is the ignorance era. This is an era where you can count on people to not know who any important historical figure is, but to know every single singer and rapper, you know. God. People have become desensitized to the world thanks to the system we live under. Yeah, but again, you look at when there was a time where there was no TVs and no internet, people actually read. They would listen to the radio. Um, like there's just this weird push to just have this extremely day by day. I don't know, just it just feels like people don't have any type of grander purpose than the surface level crap they get themselves involved with. Gumi says, "Hey, good morning. I heavily agree with you on your points already regarding to this era. If something doesn't affect someone directly, they don't feel the need to care or even show empathy." Not only that, but when they give their opinion, which nobody asked for, it's usually an ignorant one. God, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like because they do this stuff with everything. Like there's a whole bunch of actors, right, that have been in a bunch of different movies. People don't know who they are. Um, you know, so I guess the same belief system follows them to really. What I just think is so weird is like you ignore every historical figure, you ignore all these different actors, and like I guess it's so weird that the person who ignores seemingly every significant person in all these other types of um, forms of it could be entertainment or some kind of like relevant social issue, but then you know who all these different singers and rappers are, including the ones you don't even listen to. It shouldn't be that way though. Why become this ignorant and naive? Man, I'm telling you, sometimes they make me sound like I have superpowers. They're like, "Oh, I didn't know this. I didn't know this." Like, yeah, I know you didn't. But again, what's so disturbing to me is none of this stuff that I know is not public information. God, imagine if you had a holiday named after you, where people got to sit at their house all day long, without having to work, and they can't be bothered to read one book on you, like as a sign of appreciation. Hey, thanks for the extra day of rest and relaxation. And all they know about you is you gave one speech and were killed a couple years later. That's all that is the full extent of their knowledge of you. Or it's some other surface level crap. Like I was talking to this one person and they named what school King went to and then like his sign. Like, yeah, that still is less significant than the actual things the man did. Whatever. Just I'm so sick of people and all their fake crap, just they always sit here and pretend they know stuff and they don't. And that's why a lot of people will never change or improve because the first step to actually learning stuff is to admit you don't know it. But everyone wants to pretend they're so intelligent and knowledgeable of all these different things. I guess they just hate to actually see themselves for what they are, an ignorant, lazy, um, generic individual. I was in this Discord server, and because people, I said before that like I have a pretty low tolerance for rudeness. So there's like a little tight knit group of people I'll speak to on there, and there are certain recurring themes. You say hello to this person, you ask them how they're doing. You have a disagreement, you agree to disagree, and even if you disagree, you don't call anybody out of their name because these are people I speak to of my own volition. And for some reason, there's like this one guy in there with his 400 subs on YouTube. I'm not going to say which channel is because I'm not promoting them, but he'll like tell somebody to shut up, and then he'll say, I hope you get this disease. Like he said yesterday, I hope you get HIV. And I really had to tell his little friend, I said, the next time I hear that come out of his mouth, I'm going to have him muted. That's where you turn the person's mic off. You can't hear them anymore. Every single time he comes in the VC, I do not get spoken to that way by people I voluntarily choose to talk to. And again, this is the reason why I hate being in these servers and like in real life when I want to talk to someone and it's a one-on-one call, people are respectful. You ask them how they're doing, you all right, etc. You know, when you're in these stupid group calls, though, be prepared for any ridiculous crap. And it's so interesting too because I watched a video the same day, coincidentally, about some woman who's on, I think it was TikTok, and she was going to all these different celebrities' houses and etc. And you know how promiscuous chicks can be. And she contracted HIV. And I'm not even joking. In the video, they show like the effects it had on her body, how frail she had become. and they show where she's trying to like lift herself to stand. I wanted to vomit. I was sick to my stomach. And this is a fate that you wish on me. Even if it was a joke, it's not funny. God, but that's why I said I'm tired of these little edgy pricks on the computer, you know? And sure enough, the guy that looked my channel up, he's just as unstable as this one because I got sent a screenshot. I don't have it anymore because this person deleted it, where he said that he hoped the guy that he has this one guy online that's like his arch nemesis. He said that he hopes he gets hit by a moving vehicle. So that could be a train, that could be a bicycle. I'm not even joking. I'm really tempted to make a video on they just say whatever to anyone without no consequence. Oh yeah, that's one of the things that so in the past people would make death threats to others, you know, like, oh, I'm gonna do this to you. Now what they do is they tell the person to do it to themselves. So you see how it's like a slick legal wiggle room where they communicate a desire to see you not alive anymore, but they try to like instead of saying they're going to do it because they know they would get in trouble for saying that, they tell you to do it instead. Everybody online thinks they're so clever. No, I'm tempted after doing the video on the what if I was married. I'm really tempted to do one on that HIV thing because you know I've always said before I have no desire to be a player and to have a bunch of girlfriends and you know do this woman, do that woman, do this because again, these like the consequences of intercourse are not a joke. You can get hit with so many penalties. It could be something as consequential but not life-threatening as having a kid you don't want. It could be something as life-threatening as getting a disease that can completely zap you, a slow, silent killing disease that can just zap you of all your strength. So I'm at odds with a lot of the player aspects of society. I don't have a desire to have a whole bunch of different romantic explicit encounters with chicks because you're just going to heighten the risk of this happening. It's like my history teacher once said: "In the age of information, ignorance is a choice," and that's why I have a passion for learning. Oh, it's definitely a choice because, like I said, all the stuff I know is freely available to people. You think I'm playing, man? People don't they can't do any research at all. Like I had to explain to my friend that colleges in the 70s and 60s didn't like they were actually affordable. Like you could realistically work some job for, like some part-time job for a year and you'd be able to pay for yourself to go to school. Like you didn't have to take out a loan or have debt for the next 30 years. None of that. And if you remember Megumi, you're saying I was uncalled for. That's not the first time some weird guy that I didn't even want to talk to said some creepy, like weird comment toward me because I think I mentioned that in that server I was in with the woman from the dissecting a dingbats Discord delusions stream that there was a guy who came in one of the VCs and said something about pull the expletive out of some kind of like weird comment, and I was like, why do I have to listen to this? That's one of the reasons I left that server because I can't. understand the logic of this place has maybe like one, two, three people you want to speak to, but then there's like four, five, or six that you find annoying. Just like I was in that server 2 days ago, not the same one as the woman one, but the one that with this guy that said the thing about AIDS. And we were talking about the newest chapter of Super, which this is like the first one I read in a year, and it was just as irritating. And this guy comes in the VC and he says, "Why are you guys talking about Dragon Ball? Talk about Berserk." And the person he tells this to says, "I like Berserk," referring to himself, but other people don't know this series as well as Dragon Ball because Dragon Ball is one of the most popular, you know, Japanese series. Period. Right. Um, then after the guy left, we had a conversation about how insane it is to go to a VC with people who are talking about something and then like tell them to discuss something else because you don't like that they're talking about this. Oh, if you don't like what we're talking about, go somewhere else. But this goes back to my point. You don't like I don't know people like this in real life. And I don't do stuff like this to people in even on the internet. There are plenty of streams that discuss things I don't care about at all. But you're not going to see me go to them and tell them, this is boring. This sucks. Discuss this. That's weird. Akatsuki Merchant says like people can learn whatever they want to learn, but they'd still be like, oh, I have to go to college for that. It's like you can learn it from home. You just don't want to. I'm not even joking. I used to when I was younger have aspirations of being a lawyer. Before I realized how expensive law school is for no reason. I probably like I still am interested in learning about the law because I do think it has practical benefits for people. So I would be tempted to like get books on the law and just see, different rulings and procedures and things you can do. Because I do think there's even if you're not trying to have some type of profession, it still is something that can be useful. Yeah, it's as simple as that. I don't like people who behave like that online to others. Who are they to dictate what everyone should be desired to discuss? And it's weird too because this guy, he's not a little kid. He's almost 40, and he acts like that. And then there was some other interaction with him where me and somebody else were talking about the MCU, and he was like, "I'm so tired of cape movies." Like, then go somewhere else. Nobody thinks that's weird that you can go to a discussion about something and just say you're sick of it or that you're done with it, but then you're still here. I'm just so tired of these people online. They like, and again, that's the problem with being on Discord. I don't even want to talk to these bastards, but because you're in some server, you end up just having to be around them. And one of them is so annoying that every time he comes in the VC, I have his mic muted, where he just talks to somebody else, and I'll just see this big red crossed out mic because I don't like hearing his voice. The arguments he makes are ridiculous. I just want him gone. So every time he comes in there and he says something, I just let him talk to himself. I don't even pretend to be listening. I'll just sit there in silence. Sweet deafening silence. Man, you don't know how much in real life like that that stay-at-home order has become like the bane of my existence. I mean, like if I want to record something where I get to scream or yell, I have like these little pockets throughout the week of maybe like 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes where it's just me home alone. God, man. Like you don't know how much stuff I'd be able to do if I was by myself. But I almost never am. And it's like I really hate uh this living condition. A lot of people will tell someone if they're depressed, they should get pills or some kind of like therapist or psychiatrist. But I always explain that when you have things that depress or bother you that are made by other people who are unwilling to meet you halfway. No pill is going to wash the scum away. Like, I'm not going to take a pill and then now I'm suddenly not depressed about being unemployed. And I truly believe there's some stuff you can't come back from. That there are just certain things that if they happen to you, it's over. You can call me negative. I don't care. I'm not going to sit here and play the Disneyland fairy tale. Everything will be all right. The song that people like to do on the internet, where they try to get somebody to believe if enough time passes, they'll heal and they'll feel better, and et cetera, et cetera. You know, because I even make a point of mentioning in the video on this broad I'm doing, the one that agreed to marry me and a few days later reneged. I will never ask a woman to marry me again, because not even over like fear of rejection, which I would prefer, um, but because to agree to something like that and then walk away from it, if it were done by me, would be considered unacceptable. But because people have this bizarre, never ending extension of empathy toward anyone that has the heavenly triangle, I'm just not desiring to see more excuses made for that type of insane nonsense. I don't know. I look at some of the channels on this site, like the big ones, and I just shake my head. I give you an example. There was this one guy. He made a review of this TV show. I think it might have been was it Young Justice? It was some show, but anyways, he reviews every episode, and I've seen people do that before, whatever. Then after the season's finished, he makes a whole season review video, which is basically him saying the same things that he said in his episode reviews in a more condensed manner. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of redundant, but whatever. Then he ranks the episodes in terms of best to worst of the season. So like in number 8, our number in the what do you call it? The number 10 spot is episode 6. And I'm like, you've now made 3 videos where you say the exact same thing about the exact same episodes at varying lengths. And people eat this stuff up. Like his channel's like, a comment section is like, oh, great video. You made such excellent. It's like, no, he literally has recycled content. It's the same thing, just a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. And people suck it off. Oh, it was so great. It was so amazing. I shouldn't have said that because now I'm gonna get demonetized. God, dude, on YouTube, you can't say anything without them trying to squeeze some pennies away from you. You think I'm playing? You don't have to have any excessive cursing. You don't have to describe any acts of pleasure. Like, you don't know how much I just hold my rhetoric back, like on this site. Not even just not cursing, but like being able to explain things and still be monetized on here is so difficult. You can't make any direct reference to anything without worrying that they're going to do something to you. So you love the story, but you don't care to know who wrote the story you enjoy so much, incredibly disrespectful to the people who take the time to write these stories. Like I said, in Japan, they're not like Americans. People like Akira Toriyama, right? Or what's the one that did Naruto, Kishimoto? They're actually respected, and they talk about them. And Toriyama's influence has been mentioned by several of the different mangakas that have come after him. And what's really sad is that in the US, we've had a whole bunch of influential people in, like, let's say the comic industry, or just writers of different books. And because people don't read, um, you're not going to really hear anyone, even if they have really great works, right, get referenced or mentioned. Oh, told you people are psychotic. I don't know what the deal is with them. Just they don't care about anything. Well, remember I told you they're just going through the motions of life. They have no desire to do anything or know anything of any greater purpose. It's really sad that people act like this, but whatever. They're just there are just a lot of really unambitious, like I'm not even joking. So many people just seem extremely bland. Like they have no desire to just do anything other than just go work somewhere, get their rocks off with some person of the opposite gender, maybe watch a goofy video on this website, and that's pretty much it. I mean, like, um, even with entertainment, they don't think critically about it. Look, all the people that said No Way Home was the best Spider-Man movie. We poked a million and one different holes in that film, and you had people saying it was so great and amazing. And it's not even just like a thing with movies. They do the same thing with other forms of entertainment as well. I mean, I very seldom see out all these different Young Justice reviews anybody point out that after the first season that show turned into a toy box and introduced way too many characters, didn't know who to focus on. Like I said, people just they don't care. Everything is surface level crap to them. They have no sense of depth or greater purpose or higher understanding. They're just here to be here. That's why when you see these guys who like have a problem over the hooker video, I'm not even surprised because they have that same like thing of trying to change someone or get someone to change their ways or become something different that all these other people do. They just can't leave things alone. When things don't matter, they get really invested. When things do matter, they go to sleep. People can't just admit that they're ignorant of something. They always have to try and justify with childish, I don't want to or I don't have to. And it's like, yeah, if you don't want to, that's fine, but I'm still going to call out your ignorance. All I'm going to say is if I'm someone who claims to love some series or like some series and be some big diehard fan of it, I'm going to know who the people behind it are. It was kind of hard not to know who Toriyama was because I used to read the Dragon Ball manga when I was a kid and it had his name, right there. But you think I'm kidding? I'm really envious of a lot of the stuff in Japan. Just like I'm sure the chicks act promiscuous over there as well, but like people who write stories and like do mangas, they're actually respected. Like even American comic legends get treated like trash. Look at Jack Kirby. I told you I had a guy who saw all these different movies based off of characters he made, had no idea who he was. So I'm just saying in Japan, you actually, if you were a manga artist or you make some manga that sells millions of copies, you actually get treated like a person who did something of high noteworthiness that was good. In the US, we treat those people like jokes. No respect whatsoever. I mean, I was on Twitter a few weeks ago and I was looking at Chris Claremont said something about some story that he was planning on doing back when he was the Uncanny X-Men writer. And this person was like, I'm not surprised that he feels this way, given how he used to write Storm when he was writing. It's like, you stupid bastard. He's the one that made Storm the first team leader after Cyclops quit. He's literally the guy that took X-Men from a canceled, basically bootleg version of Fantastic Four and gave it one of the most diverse, complex cast of characters that comics had ever seen up to that point, and made it Marvel's second best-selling comic after Spider-Man. So I said people have no respect. They just say things, make these vague comments, and people are in the person's not retweets, reply tweets asking, "What did he do when he was a writer that you're so offended by?" No explanation. Just like when Eternals came out, I whatever you thought of that movie, that was a Jack Kirby creation. There were idiots on Twitter crapping on Kirby's art. They were like, "Oh, this is hideous." I'm like, "You stick figure drawing little pricks dare to say something about the way this man illustrated?" So I said, "No respect." Just a bunch of pretenders and online cynics who want to trash somebody else to make themselves look good, but they're nothing. They'll do whatever it takes to crap on someone that has done way more than them and has a hell of a lot more to be proud of than they do. Dude, most art critics, um, kind of like most movie critics, have no talent. They'll never direct or make anything themselves. And a lot of them get off on this whole thing of I can do better than somebody else because they know they'll never be asked to do it themselves. And every time you say this, you always have to like give the what do you call it, the disclaimer that you're not trying to say that if you don't make this, then you can't criticize it. But it's like they're upset over a movie which Kirby has nothing to do with because he has long since passed away, and they're going to use this film to then go back to his art and start talking trash about it. I just think that's extremely rude, but whatever. Everybody has an opinion, even people who don't have brains have opinions. I forgot. So I said I'm just so sick of these internet. I don't even know what you would call them. It's like they're leeches. Like they just sit here and suck the fun out of everything, and they have a problem with all this different stuff, and you just get tired of it. And internet people always pretend they're just so great and amazing, and we should all bask in their glory. But that's just their persona. Then there's those people who give the worst reviews of anime or any other animated series. Yeah, but like what really gets on my nerves is when you try to like personally attack the creator. Um, like I really hate that so much. Even with shows and movies, I don't like. I never message any of the actors. I never message any of the writers. But people are pricks. And I've seen people be just as harsh towards stuff that was not made professionally as they are toward things that are made professionally. I mean, I used to read all those nasty comments on my show, and I was like, I have no budget. I have to sit here and write these scripts by myself. I have to draw this whole thing out by myself. I have to get the voice actors by myself. If they quit, I have to go find somebody else by myself. And I was told that this is just what you get when you go online, get over it. I said that just doesn't seem right to me. I feel like there's something wrong with the premise that you can get all of these like punishments for making something, and then another person gets to say something nasty and you're supposed to like respect their opinion and not get pissed off, you know? 'Cause, everything is just a disagreement. So I said I'm just so tired of these people and these weird belief systems that they have. That's why I got rid of that's one of the reasons I got rid of Discord Snake, because I was like, dude, you're not gonna sit here and tell me that I'm supposed to not be able to ban people and they're writing bigoted comments towards me over what I look like for having an opinion they don't agree with. And they can't even explain why my opinion is wrong, which is why they have to resort to these like weird personal attacks. I just don't get why if you're a content creator, you should have to put up with that. I really don't. Like I don't get paid to do this. This isn't my job, so I don't understand why I am supposed to be receptive or respectful toward nasty things written to or about me on here. I really don't. Don't even get me started with how pretentious artists on the internet are. These people will swear up and down their art is the best thing since sliced bread. Well, I already told you about that one crazy artist that I asked for a tiny modification. Can you make this smaller? And then he was talking about he's confused and this doesn't make any sense and all this other crap. So whatever. That's why from now on, I'm not even gonna bother if I see some artist that I like on some different website, I'm not even gonna bother asking them like to draw some for me. I'll just draw everything on my own because I that really did like taint him for me. That was someone I'd seen for years. I mean, I don't know these people personally, but I figure if you pay somebody to do something, you give them pretty specific instructions, and then if you ask for a slight modification, they can do it, but I guess not. So yeah, he spoiled the bunch for everyone. I'm not even joking. Like, if you have enough bad experiences with someone or somewhere or something, you should have the right to just say to hell with it. Especially if it's something you don't need. Like, you don't need women. You don't need to be in a relationship with them. You don't need to hold hands with them. You don't need to date them. You don't need to marry them. And like I said, a lot of times you're better off without them because of how many of them turn out to be, you know, up for all things of an ulterior motive. Let's put it that way. So, if you get sick of it, you should have the right to walk away. Remember, they have the right to walk away from us. Chicks who don't date get told they're independent, they're career oriented, they don't need a man, but we need them. We can't live without them. We need to do all this stuff to impress them. Yeah, doesn't sound right to me. I'm telling you, I really do live in the twilight zone just with the types of choices and things people do and decide to enact. I mean, I just want to ask this: if you had a bedroom with a TV, a computer, would you give up going and sleeping in your bed to sleep on the couch? and sleep somewhere where people have to keep walking around you and could possibly wake you up? Would you do that? Would you voluntarily do that? And it's been like this for must be 2, 3, 4 weeks now, and that like it's so weird. But see, this goes back to like why I said I just hate this living condition. I really do. Person asked me, "Why don't you feel comfortable in your own house?" I said, "Maybe because I'm never alone. Maybe because I live with people who don't know how to knock on the door." God, no privacy whatsoever. I'm not even joking. Sometimes I've had more dreams about living by myself than actually achieving anything. That's how tired of this whole saga that I am. And again, the problem is, because bad experiences trickle down. They go and they work together to just permanently dissuade you from something. Even if I got hired by somewhere, I'm not going to be excited. Because you know that these places like to hire people and then get rid of them as fast as they can. So who's to say you start working somewhere and then you're like, oh, maybe I can finally move somewhere else, and then like a month later they try to get rid of you or they let you go. Well, family, I already told you, are like the fakest people in the world because they're supposed to be the ones that care about you the most, but in a lot of cases they care about you the least, which is why usually most of them that you don't, I'm talking about, right, is in the ones that you don't have to see in person. They make no attempt to call you. They make no attempt to reach out to you. They act like you don't exist throughout the entire year. And that's supposed to be someone you care about and love. Give me a break. You think if I had a daughter or a son, even if I didn't live with them, that days would go by where I just don't call them at all. Weeks would go by where I just don't call them at all or see them. But people are fine with this. And that's why I told you that a lot of people um they're just fake. I love you. Yeah. Fakest phrase ever. I've told different relatives to their face, I don't love them. What's there to love? You don't talk to me. You don't call me. You don't ask me how I'm doing. Nothing. Some of these people can literally see you. I'm not even joking. Every single week, and they still don't even speak to you. They'll come to your house to see somebody else, but they love you and they care about you. So I say, get out of my face. If you believe a relative who never calls you, never reaches out to you, never tries to do anything voluntarily with you, loves you, I have a bridge to sell you. I'm not even joking. Out of all of my different relatives, there might be maybe like 6 or 7 that I would say actually cared about me. So I said, this is we just live in the era of fakeness and people trying to convince you of things. It's all crap. Yeah, Jim, I'm feeling pretty discouraged from doing a documentary because I'm looking at the analytics, and it doesn't look like we're gonna see that many views. Like I really don't feel like putting up. Here's a documentary on this U.S. president, and then a week later, oh man, it got 100 views. I'm not excited for that. And you can get mad, you can unsubscribe. I'm really tired of like always being asked to do a bunch of work for nothing. A bunch of work where you write a script and cut out all the stuttering and get all the pictures and give a commentary, and then in your reward is getting demonetized and having people barely watch it or share it. Or remember Megumi, I mean, these are the same people. Like, really listen to this fantasy crap. Relatives who never go to see you, never call you, love you. And women who you are expected to do everything to impress will now suddenly fall in love with you if you do all these different things to impress them that aren't even indicative of who you are, and are never expected to do anything to impress you other than exist. Man, Jam, you should see some of the ambitions I had with like just making some of this stuff. Like, if you saw all the pages of scripts and oh man. But again, I just always think about my lot on this site and how like screwed up it is. I mean, to make a documentary, like to go and do research on someone, and then you put it in your own words. If there's any clips, you have to go and grab those too. You appear on camera as well. And then at the same time as you're doing this, because you don't get that many views, because you don't get that much support, you're being told in real life that you're lazy, that you do nothing. I mean, it's like I told you, it's like the literal Twilight Zone. You're doing all this stuff to make this video, working as hard on it as you would. I mean, sometimes when I would write this stuff, I'd get up early in the morning just typing away. Read this here, read that there. And you're told that you're lazy. Do you not understand the absurdity? You're lazy. I mean, self-satisfaction is one thing, but to constantly be kept in this like stagnant space where it just seems as if nothing is getting better and then be expected to be motivated, it's really irritating. Especially when you're being condemned in real life and on the internet as well together. Attacked from both sides. I remember when I did that romance the new N-word video and I was like showing all the proof of how they take the I word and they just throw it and sling it at everybody that criticizes chicks. And the first comment I get is from some weird guy I've never seen before talking about your complaining continues. I'm like, man, I sat here for multiple days writing this script, getting all these screenshots, and the best comment that can materialize is some weird guy who could have who's not even talking about the video. And then when he starts quoting it, it's not even to address the points being made. It's like some weird mocking. I was like, this is stupid, you know. Well, yeah, they don't see anything. You know how these people are. If you don't get a big check from it, it doesn't matter. I could literally make a documentary about the homelessness in LA where I just go around that whole city. Just the whole big huge city where all these different people living in boxes and bags and tunnels and whatnot, and that they would still say you're lazy even after you did something because if you don't get paid for it, it doesn't count. Oh, they definitely don't see the work I do, but they don't. I mean, it doesn't matter. These people just, they're all miserable. They always have to like make somebody else feel bad. I told you the same person. trying to make me feel bad about being unemployed is the same individual who is in their, approaching their mid 30s that still lives with their parents. So, it's just, it's really funny the types of situations they themselves are in, and then they brag about being better than somebody else. Like it's really comedic and kind of sad that you have to tear somebody else down to make yourself feel better. I remember this one person asked me, "What does my family think of my videos?" Like, what? Why does that matter? They don't get mentioned. They don't get referenced unless it's like a vague way. Why do we need to hear what they think of this stuff? I really did at one point think of doing an interview with like some different relatives, but the problem is I have like a pretty low tolerance for the nasty stuff that's said about me on here. And if that type of stuff was said about them, it would be like, let's just say you wouldn't have to worry about me getting what do you call it? Any kind of demonetization from YouTube. I'd be demonetized as quick as possible responding to that type of stuff. I'd say some things that probably weren't legal. Because, like I said, people just don't. I don't have the tolerance for that ridiculous crap. Like I remember I did a stream with my best friend, and this guy in the chat was like, "Why don't we see what he looks like?" And my friend consented to it, and I told him, "I won't show you because I don't understand why if you want to talk about this, we need to have some weird evaluation of whether we think you're pretty enough to date a woman. Like that's weird. Just people. That's why I said people have these like weird things going on with them. It's bizarre. Oh, because they're trying to like do their thing of, oh, you're too ugly to get with a, that same old tire trope, analyzing people's appearances, and it's always men analyzing men. They talk more about the way other men look than women, but they're straight. I have some family members who are like that as well. I know everybody in the Megumi family is very hardworking, and they're all very nice and get along with each other. Well, you know what it is? They're like super obsessed with defending chicks, so they'll find 900 faults with a man before they find one fault with a woman. And they do the same stuff to guys that are like and I was going to explain this in that video I was thinking of doing. They do the same thing to men that actually date chicks or marry them. Like if it doesn't work out, they're gonna say, "Oh, you probably did this, you probably did that. Anything we can say to defend a dingbat," because all they know how to do is just make excuse out. I mean, perfect example was the guy that said, "You probably approach in a weird way." What does that even mean? It's like what's the point of having a conversation about this stuff if people are just going to create fan fiction and write all these different stories of what they think happens? Pointless. That's why I'm tired of that chick stuff. You probably approach women who are too good looking, and then I showed like three different people what that one broad from the She's a 10 stream looked like, and they all said, I don't think so. That's what I think is so funny, man. They act like all these, like every woman is this like petite, big chested, long hair having. I mean, dude, I've never put up a single woman's picture. They have nothing to go off of. Megumi says, yeah, no point in trying to have a discussion with them since they already made up their mind and know what happened. Well, that's why every time they leave a comment, I usually only respond either on a stream or like in a video making fun of their comments because actually trying to talk to them is completely pointless. Like if someone decides they're going to blame you for something, they're not even mind readers. They make fan fiction. They write, like, you know how with stories they have time skips and there's like a year passed between two movies. We don't really know what happened other than like some bare stuff about it, and then people will write fan fiction of like what happened during that time. People on the internet are the same way about people in real life. They have no idea what kind of turmoil we had with these chicks, but they know it was your fault. And how they know it was your fault? They create fan fiction. They fill in the blanks. They write their own stories of what they think happened. Oh, he asked out some woman but was too shy. It's like the guy that goes out and asks out dozens and dozens of chicks is too shy. But the chicks who never ask out men, including the ones they say are attractive, are not too shy. How does that make any sense? And people think it's completely normal for like to sit here and give you all this trash about, oh, if you don't ask out women, uh, you'll how do you expect to for them to like you back? Like, well, hell, if they like somebody, they can go up and tell them that. God, they really do believe chicks can never initiate anything. They're just these darling princesses who just who just sit in their little chair like this, and they wait hand and foot for men to come and ask them out. And then when the man asks them, they go, "Oh, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't." Who like? That's why I told you, dude. That feminism is such a joke. They can't pick or like. They want things that suck about asking out a person of the opposite gender to be exclusive to men, and they want all the benefits. They want to be asked out, they want to be catered to with all this self-improvement stuff. It's I mean, God, dude, this that's why I said romance is a joke. Like I'm not even kidding. You barely can take any of them seriously. Because we already gave you the examples of all the stuff they will say and then renege on. Well, they certainly can and have done it before. Just very hardly any of them do. Dude, it's harder for chicks to ask out men than it is for them to like go to school and get a degree. Like it's actually a harder task for them to go up to a man that they think is attractive and say, "Hi, how are you? My name is et cetera, et cetera. Can I get your number?" Than it is for them to go to school. Like it's harder for them to go up and ask a man out than to get a degree in something. That's how over complicated and over difficult they've made this stuff for themselves. But see, the reason they don't care about doing that most of the time is because well, we talked before, chicks actually have less confidence than men, which is why like most arguments, like the big heated ones you see are between men. Most people that route this nasty stuff to me are other men. They're not they actually have a lot of character flaws that if people would look at objectively, you could point to as the reason that things are as bad as they are. I mean, how many men do you see talking to 30 chicks and like, actually thinking he has a chance or, will just wants attention from all of them? You think I'm playing, dude? Like, I've had so many chicks that do the friend zone thing where I just cut them off entirely because I see it's going nowhere. Because I'm not in need of attention. I don't need to speak to some random woman who's not going to give me what I want. Oh, we can be friends. Yeah, no, no thanks. I have enough friends. That would be really funny to do like a video. What if I like it would be called "What if I was friend zoned," and like just all the different times some woman tried to get me to be friends with her. I'd be speaking to like 20 of those pricks by now. They do that a lot. And again, it's like, if somebody else wants to have their time wasted, be my guest, but I don't even like any of them that way. You know what I mean? Like you could maybe want to date from someone, which if it goes bad, then you never speak to them again. But like I don't have any ambition to just sit here and talk to some person that is denying me what I want for another month, 5 months, 6 months, a year. Like, why do you have to have these extremely long, never ending correspondences with them, you know? It's just like we were talking about how I wanted a family and you have all these different chicks that I'll ask out and they say they don't want kids. It's like, yeah, so if I was with some woman and went on multiple dates with her and then found out she didn't want children, I would break up with her. Just like bring this example up in the video. If I had married that one crazy broad and then she only then started doing her "I don't want to have kids" thing, which she did after we stopped speaking or after she broke it off, she would immediately get divorced because this is unappealing. It's not even just going on endless dates. You're having endless discussions with a bunch of chicks just to just to maybe get one date, which means you could talk to some woman for 2 years, which one of them actually did say this to me. You could talk to one of them for 2 years and she would still be open to saying, "Hey, I only like you as a friend. I'm not interested in you." And then you just spoke to her for nothing. And then people gonna blame you. Oh, you just want her to be romantic. You're damn right I do. You're gonna try to make me feel bad for wanting what everybody else wants. They always try to act like the man is bad for being honest about what he wants. I give them 1 week. That's it. You got 7 days. Oh, they get a much shorter amount of time now. Like if it's one I really find attractive, right? And I'm like, oh man, I would love to be with her. Oh, that would be so great. But even like ones I'm not even trying to do romantic stuff with, they do the same thing where they start off responding to you like every day or week, and then it gets progressively smaller because they're always so busy to where I just all right, forget it. I have one of them right now doing that. And if she keeps acting stupid, she's gonna be the next recording that you hear. I think I might give that one maybe one more week, maybe until I finish writing that video, and then if she still is acting stupid, we can toss that one too. When they call me back after a month, I usually ask, "Who is this?" I never understood what was wrong with being upfront and honest with wanting a date. This kind of antagonism isn't applied to the other gender if they want a date. Listen, women can want anything and they will not be judged for anything. They will like there are chicks who literally get pregnant without telling their partner because they want to have a baby. Nobody criticizes them, says they rob their partner of consent. Um, you have chicks who just want to have intercourse. No one criticizes them for, oh, it's fun. I told you a lot of those chicks that are on social media that you see wearing those extravagant outfits, how do you think they get it? Because they're putting out for all of these different guys. That's why when I was telling you about that one Instagram, not Instagram, the model from TikTok that had contracted HIV. It's like you have to really think to yourself, she must have been intimate with like I mean, I'm just gonna say it like this. I'll be shocked if it was a number that didn't have at least 2 digits and was on the higher percentile. And like I said, man, it makes it to where you get really worried about because, like, chicks get so much attention, and if they're willing to do stuff like that just to get a handbag or some makeup, why do you want to be around someone like that? And remember, none of them are ever going to tell you how many partners they've had, and you'll get criticized for being direct about it. I dated a chick, and on the first night, she ran up a 450 bar bill and got upset because I told her I was not in the mood. I wouldn't have been in the mood either. almost half $1,000 for. Are you kidding me? You think I'm playing? Like chicks can really get men like in all types of awful situations. Like there is so much that can happen awful to you that is directly related to you even bothering with them. They lie on men. They they lie to men, right, about how many partners they've had. So if you do something with them, you have to go get yourself tested. And you don't have to get yourself tested because you're promiscuous. No, it's because of her. Now my first date was at a public park. Dude, I wish I could get a second first date. I mean, I told you these bastards would rather sit there and talk to you for 4 hours on the phone than sit across from you at a restaurant for 30 minutes. And they're gonna talk about, oh, you should be okay with not being her first choice or her preference. Everyone has preference. I said, yeah, but like I always been my preferences with these chicks. Like the one that was talking all that explicit crap last year. I don't want to date someone from another country. But again, it's like first come, first serve. If you're not getting anything from American chicks, what else are you gonna do? Because you remember, if you tell her, "Oh, I don't like you because you live in another country," people will say, "Oh, you're being picky, and this is why you are enacting a self-fulfilling prophecy." Dude, literally, if you exercise any kind of standards, you are told you're enacting a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like that, I hate that stupid phrase or term, whatever you want to call it, because it's literally a way of blaming the one person who's trying to change things for why they stay the same. Self-fulfilling prophecy. I remember that this one broad said that to me after I told her that there was a chick I met at my I was back it's back when I was in school. Uh and I didn't ask her for her number because I figured she would say no. And she was like, "Oh, you're enacting a self-fulfilling prophecy." It's like, but then right after this, she admitted that if she was in this woman's same situation, she would not have given me her number. So it's like, you're gonna tell me that by not asking for some person I just met's number, I am enacting a self-fulfilling but then you're admitting that if you were in her position, you wouldn't have given it to me anyway. So I lost nothing. That's why I told you, dude. Like, what is the point of chicks? They're just a tool for people to blame you and beat you over the head. I mean, look at the type of stuff that gets written to me. Oh, you're going to commit violence. Nobody says that to me because I talk about the news. It's only because of chicks. Like seriously, what is good about them? How in any way have you been benefited from them? Have you been on speed dating before? That's also another huge waste of time and heavily one-sided. No, I'll take your word for how awful it is. Nah, Jim, if you saw some of the weird stuff that gets written to me, you're gonna commit violence, you're gonna commit suicide, you're gonna molest a woman. It's like the same people who will accuse you of being gay because you're like not accepted by chicks are the same ones who are saying you're going to be doing things to women like how does that work? You're supposedly secretly gay, but then you're also going to enact do these crimes against this is what I said, man. People don't even think, they type all kind of weird stuff. I had a chick roll her eyes at me at speed dating. Yeah, just don't bother with it. It's awful. Yeah, I'll take your word for it. You don't think there's something like really nasty about going to somebody's video where they talk about something that's bothering them and speculating on them we all have different thoughts in our heads, right? But you don't think there's something wrong with going to a person's video and speculating that like on their fate, like, oh, if this man doesn't get a woman, he's going to molest them. It's like, what do you think my reaction is going to be to reading that? Oh, if he doesn't get a woman, he's going to commit violence or he's going to commit suicide. You don't think something is wrong with going to a person's video and like openly speculating on what you think is going to happen to them? Nobody thinks there's something wrong with that, like to boil another human being down to this weird, because people speculate when they like a new season of a TV show is coming out, but to take another human being and speculate on what awful fate they're going to have because they made a video you didn't like or made a video that you thought was whatever. No one thinks there's something wrong with that. To publicly speculate on what type of bad scenario is going to play out with this person. No one thinks that's insane. There's something wrong with doing that. No, okay. Comments like that shouldn't be allowed. Then again, the moment you swat this stuff, they cry out free speech. And dude, it's like what really gets me is because people on the internet are full of crap, you know that. But what drives me nuts is that you have these people who are like, I can't believe you would say this about women and, you know, your rhetoric. Oh my God. But then when someone writes this type of stuff to me, these people are speechless. Like, I get called racial slurs for doing a video, and the same group of people who want me to feel like ashamed or bad over critiquing chicks having no commentary or pushback for those that call me those types of things. They just have nothing to say about that at all. It's like they didn't even see it. God, I mean, like it's so incredible the type of stuff people write to another human being when they can hide their face and get behind the computer. And even some of the stuff they say in real life is pretty gross too. Because I told you a lot of people feel like since they know in real life most people don't want to like get in trouble with the law, they can just do whatever they want to, like say whatever they want to somebody else, you know. If I don't like the video, I criticize the video, not the person. But this goes back to my thing. There's never been a content creator I've watched, even the ones I watch, I've only seen one video from where I'm like, I bet this person is gonna do something to a woman or he's going to hang himself. I mean, what's wrong with you? Nobody thinks there's something wrong with that? It's really ironic too because I think I mentioned before, if I ever did get suicidal to the point of being like, all right, I'm doing this, I'm sick of it, I'm done. I wouldn't make any like public declarations of this. I wouldn't and usually it's not even over the chick stuff. Like the chick stuff is a component of things that disenfranchise me, but just it has to be some completely like some huge ball of just crap. Like, everything has to suck to where and you have to believe that it will just never improve. It's going to be like I truly believe the chick thing will stay awful even if you have chicks that like ask you out when you get older because then it's just gold diggers. Um but I'd have to believe that like no dream you have will ever come to pass. Just give up, for me to just say to hell with it. Really messed up is what say to that. Why should those warp things come into mind? Because people online treat other human beings like crap. I mean, they don't see anyone else as a person. Welcome to America. There are a lot of I mean, most suicides are men, right? So it's like you're part of the gender that kills itself disproportionately, and people are gonna write that type of stuff to you. No, I'd have to really think that just nothing will ever get better. It's always going to be like this, or it's only going to get worse. Um, and the problem is a lot of people because they want to sit there and make everything about chicks. Because a lot of them, your whole life revolves around broads. They'll convince themselves, oh, if he's depressed about chicks, he's depressed about everything. So yeah, if I did it, it would be over a variety of factors. Because, like I said, I really am sick of this living condition. I'm tired of every day waking up at 8 in the morning because somebody can't be screwed to go close their own door and talk loud, and people can't get the mail, they can't take out the trash, they could just stuff like that is really annoying. Um, but it's not enough for me to just because, like I said, the main issue still is that job thing. These damn places are there's just a bunch of human gnats, and, like, every time someone gives me a lead, it just turns out to be a waste of time. Like, I've been on Indeed, I applied all these different places, sometimes they call you, and you call them back, and they don't call you back, or they don't respond, and you just get tired of it, you know? Like, why the hell do I have to fill out 300 applications just to work somewhere? But that's why I said that, like, if I really believed it was always going to be this way, that's what would, you know, make me just say the hell with it. That's why we have a lot of examples from Discord as well. But why post something that's sinister and warped like your significance as a person is hinged on whether or not you're a person of worth? Yeah, but I mean, like, it's just so weird that people have these bizarre declarations of significance because, like I said, there's a whole bunch of people that have actually done something important that no one's even heard of. And like even online, there are people who have millions of followers or 100,000 subscribers on here that you don't even know who they are. So no matter how big you get, unfortunately, but realistically, you will always have people who don't know who you are. Yeah, you're a mediocre man if you're not with a woman, says the guy who's such a coward that he hides his face behind some football player's picture. And the last time he saw a vagina was probably in some porn magazine, but whatever. I've been watching you for 2 years and analyzing your body. the longtime sub who's never left any comments, but who cares so much. Dude, when I went to that thing on Saturday, there were so many people standing in line. It was like they had to break the lines up, and it's oh, don't do that. Start your own business thing, please don't, because that's going to be a total disaster in the works. The last guy that said that stuff made me want to just vomit. He was like, "Start your own business. You're smart enough to do it." God, they get on my nerves. They throw out stuff. It's like they don't even think. Start your own business. Start your own business. It's like doing what? God. Start your own business. Start your own business. I should start banning people is what I should do. That's what should begin. I remember one time I was looking at my YouTube subscriptions. I was like looking at Pac-Man and Door and Kalinsky, and then like the Young Turks was like, wow, I know just as much about politics as they do, but I'm the only one that that doesn't get paid for doing it. Man, that's crazy. Like Kyle did this one video where he couldn't name any speakers of the House besides Pelosi. And I was like, this is the guy that's one of the leading voices in the progressive movement. I mean, like, how do you forget James Polk? He's literally the only speaker that became president. Or Sam Rayburn. I mean, like, I don't get it at all. How like you know what I'm talking about, right? You see the ignorance even from the guys at the top, but their subscribers are completely fine with it. And I don't think he's some like great comedian or anything. Like he's saying some impactful thing that you know what I'm saying, dude. Like I'm not impressed enough to think, oh yeah, it makes sense that he has almost 1 million subs, but I've been stuck at 2,000 for 4 years. It's like it's just stupid to me. Like it's like something about that's backwards. I don't like that you saw on your couch. Like, well, maybe if I had some big, huge following, I could get a green screen and actually like create something. But I'm not going to sit here and do all that stuff to get 5 views. It's like wedding photography. Yeah, I still couldn't believe that he couldn't name any speakers. Or when he said that Tom Cotton was a congressman. I was like, yeah, the senator congressman. He's both. He's in the House and the Senate. No, I'm so sick of like all the advice that gets put out on this site. Oh, do this, do that, do this, do that. It's always like everything is your fault. I'm not even joking. I did draw a picture of me on a cross. I want to like draw it again and see if it looks better. I didn't like it all that much, but God, you just get blamed for everything. You could definitely do your own show. Kyle is now you love Kyle. You were his first subscriber. You've been there since 2008. I'm not even joking. When I see how big some of these people are, I just sit there rolling my eyes, put my hand over my face. I'm like, really? These are the people at the top. And I already told you a lot of people that rise have somebody else that helps them. Like, look at Hassan. Like, that's a guy who's now one of the biggest Twitch streamers. And he didn't get that big because he came on there and had this extremely impactful message and said these profound no, because his uncle is the TYT founder. So he rode his coattails and became his own thing. People only know that chick. Oh, what about when the guy is noteworthy and has a chick? You can say she is sucking off the success of the guy who has a YouTube channel with many subs. People only know that chick from the guy's channel. Oh yeah, I've seen that where different people I used to watch get a girlfriend, and then every single video has this woman in, and I'm just like, God, can we go back to the way things were? I know this one guy, he talked about some movie that came out, and he's like, "Oh, my girlfriend's gonna do a review too." I'm like, why the hell would I care what she thinks? Like, I didn't subscribe to her. Man, I don't even watch any chicks on YouTube. But if even if I did, I certainly wouldn't watch ones that are only known because they rode somebody else's coattails to to, to fame. I told you there was this one guy, he used to make these like stop motion videos, and then he got a girlfriend, and like every single video he would do would be him and her just like sitting in front of his camera. And I was like, where what how did we go from a channel where like you make stuff move with pictures? Because I used to do that when I was a kid. I was like really impressed by like, photos moving, like making something move from a bunch of photos. And now it's literally every video was just him with her until he announced that she was pregnant, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not watching this anymore. Goodbye." I saw one of his videos, my recommended. You better believe I clicked away from that so fast. I was like, "No, leave that away from me." I want to be a private detective, and we all had dreams. And then we tried to go to school and our dreams were crushed by a huge bill that nobody our age would even be able to pay by themselves anyway. I don't care what anybody says. That is insane. Like 12,000 to go to some school for a year. So then next year you have to pay the same amount, and then when you get out, you have to hope that the degree is able to pay. It's what, man. So I tell you, I'm so sick of this damn pyramid scheme. And like I said, I don't care how many years pass. I'm always gonna hate the people that turned their back on me when I needed them for that. When I was in sixth grade, I wanted to be a CIA agent. Oh, Akatsuki Merchant finally came back. He disappeared for like a whole quarter of the stream. He finally decided to make a reappearance. No, that is true that there are so many different channels where there's like a guy who made it on his own, and then some woman appears on there, and after he starts dating her, every single video is about like him and her together. And I remember, I think I told you there was a romance commentary that was like that, where where after he got with this woman, he made a video. He's like, "You were worth the wait," and every video was them together. And then after they broke up, he deleted all his stuff for her in it, and then said, "You should keep waiting and hold out hope and all the rest of that crap, and you'll need to like just complete reversal." You know damn well that I would never. I just think that's so pointless. Like, what was the purpose of making this content so you can just? I don't know. I don't like that scrubbing stuff. I really don't. That's one of the most funniest things I've heard on here. Literally, yeah, he used to make videos about never having a girlfriend. Then he gets one. Then it's like Batman and Robin. Every single video is the two of them sitting together, and he's talking about you were worth the wait. Made a video with that as the title. Then after they break up, he deletes all the stuff with her in it and starts talking about how good it is to be single and work on yourself. I'm like, are you out of God? What the hell was that? Yes, he literally just completely. I mean, if you watched him now, you would think that period didn't even happen. That would be like if I just deleted. I'm not like, let's say I unlisted everything I've said about romance, right? And I start giving advice. I'm like, hey, you know what? If you work on yourself, you can get all these different beautiful chicks to start being interested in you. And you'd be like, what? This is not what you said last week or the week before that. And then because the videos aren't on YouTube anymore, you can't hold me to my inconsistency. He changed so fast. Oh my god. Dude, that was like something out of a comic book. Like I could see in a comic book someone dates a woman and then it doesn't work out, so they just completely change and transform and get rid of all the evidence that even happened. He like I that was a literal real life retcon, like someone trying to get us to forget what we know happened. And there's little like breadcrumbs of it still around. There was one guy who did like a video where he was making fun of them or like responding to some video they did together that I think is still up. But wow, he completely like see that's why I told you that I'm not like these people. You're not gonna see me, even if I change my mind on something, I'm not gonna pretend I didn't used to. Like I said before, I used to think that if you keep asking out chicks, eventually one of them will like you. You're not going to see me like get rid of stuff that showed me having a different position because I changed my mind on something. Complete reversal. He did a 360 turn. No, that's why we gotta make the romance comic book. We have retcons, plot twist, red herrings, recurring villains, crossovers. I hate that reversal. Well, Jen, people online are not consistent. They say they're very wishy washy. They switch from one side to the other. So on Monday, he's like, "Yeah, you need to do this to appeal to chicks." On Tuesday, well, maybe they should be doing something to appeal to you too. No, I think he's running one of the worst channels on the circuit today. No, that's my point. Listen, changing your mind is one thing. There's their so-called girlfriend. Listen, changing your mind is one thing, but pretending you didn't like. Let's say I did a video and I said, you know what? I think if I keep asking out chicks, it might be different this time. Even if I changed my mind or like became more positive out of nowhere, I still wouldn't get rid of anything I made before. I still wouldn't pretend as if because that's what he's doing by getting rid of this stuff that I've always had this view and there wasn't a period where I was going, this is a waste of time, this is stupid. That's why we're calling it a retcon because he's literally trying to get you to forget what he used to believe, what he used to preach. They shouldn't have made videos with their so dude, he must have deleted like 20, 30, 40 videos. Oh my god! If I knew that was gonna happen, I would have downloaded one of those bastards and I would put them on like chipmunk mode and hide and like blur out the thing and play it. God, like those videos would be so funny to watch now, just knowing what's gonna happen, like retroactively hilarious. It's like this is my girlfriend that was worth the wait that's gonna break up with me in 7 months. You will never, even if I dated some woman, you will never see her appear in any of my stuff. I don't care how mad she gets. If she wants to get to break up over that, be my guest. I am not going to have no weird character arc where you're seeing some person with me and then we have a falling out. Just like with my best friend, I purposely had him on my stream years ago and still trying to get him to do a second one, but he's like always something comes up. Um, because that's someone who I knew I'm never going to have a falling out with. But even if I did, I still wouldn't get rid of that stream we did together. Dude, why bother in the first place with that if you never intended on keeping them up? Retconning all that stuff just made himself look like a total fraud and idiot. You think I'm playing? If I knew that was going to happen, I would have downloaded all those videos and like stuck them on what's that one website? Some other video sharing site so he couldn't, because like if you have the stuff private, they can be like, oh, he stole my video. So I'll put it somewhere else, and then we do a stream where we play the video's audio on fast mode. Yeah, he looks like a complete fraud and idiot. He like if you listen to him from 2 years ago versus now, it's like a completely. You would think he was possessed. Total retcon. Why bother in the first place with that if you never intended on keeping them up? I think he did intend on keeping them up, but he didn't intend on breaking up with that chick. And when she did, he got like angry and was like, I spent all this time with you, and you did it to me. Wee." And rage quit on all the videos. Oh my god. He's lucky I didn't predict because I've never seen anybody do that before. He tried to Thanos snap it. You know what? I still wouldn't go that far because at least with the snap, it doesn't like it kills people instantly, but it like doesn't erase the records of what happened. He literally did the damn Doctor Strange spell. People will forget that you dated this woman and did a whole bunch of videos with her, and then look, and then the rest was like, no, we still remember. We were there. We saw it. Man, that guy is full of the fact that he got 70, 80,000, 50, whatever, tens of thousands of subs off of his scam was sad. Like, that just shows you if you tell the truth about these pricks, expect to get no support. And you want to be like an independent person. But these con artists, they tell you they switch from one side to the other. They'll do whatever it takes to get people to keep watching them and to keep pretending that they're happy and that everything is going the way they intended and forget what we said before. Damn, that guy is a complete embarrassment. I mean, I didn't even agree with the stuff he was saying because I don't believe it. The Disney fairy tale of oh, magic woman shows up because that's what he was trying to promote. Oh, if you just work on yourself and keep trying, this woman will show up. But at the very least, that was a view that he seemed to have like organically gained, like in the same way that getting the same result over and over made me just sick of chicks. He got the different result once and was like, "Yay, I made it, I did it." But Jesus Christ, he transformed so quickly, like overnight, all that stuff got deleted. And guess what? If he dates somebody else, it's gonna be the same thing again. You were worth the wait. I love you. Da, da, da. Man, that channel is terrible. I'm telling you, some of these channels that people prop up, I don't understand at all. They don't have any redeeming qualities. It's just complete clown central. How anybody even supports them is beyond me. Like you have to. That's why I told you that. Like on this site, being a fake, um, bogus prick that just rides with the wind against switching from one side to the other, that can get you so much attention on here. It's not even funny. But if you want to be honest and consistent and maybe sometimes say things that people don't agree with, but that you show proof of regardless, you get completely ignored. So thanks for showing up, Megumi, Gem, Akatsuki Merchant. I'll be back on Monday. I'm gonna go see this movie. Well, I think I'm going to see the movie. It depends if this other person ruins the experience because they, how people like to do. I hope you've enjoyed this robust discussion on all the different insane people on this website. So have a good rest of your weekend.